All right. Hey there. Hey guys. Hey everybody. Hey Yen. Hey Allie. How are you all?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm great. It's great to be here with you. I'm really excited about that.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah. Um, Yen, how are you?
I am doing great, and thanks, Ali, for being here on our third uh, instance of our series on the day in the
Fourth.
life. Is it the fourth? Oh, yes,
It's
Oops.
the fourth.
I could make one. That's right. It's the fourth. Yeah. Wow.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
yeah. Things happen when you're not looking. But it's the fourth one, and it's here with Ali, and you can kind of see in her background there. She is a busy person with a lot going on. If I'm looking right there.
It just looks
Yes,
like
she
it. I'm just
is.
kidding.
No, this has
Yes,
been
she
a
is.
great series. We started this series with we had a CEO, we had a VP of digital transformation,
Nice.
then we had a engineering manager, director of engineering, and now we have Ali here.
Well,
And
there was
so
someone
we,
else, right?
yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this. This series is really about how we can help young people understand the opportunities in manufacturing and some of the paths that they can take to get to an interesting role. And so far, and I'm sure this will not disappoint either. There's a lot of interesting roles in manufacturing, and once you got to get a feel for the day to life of some of these people, uh, that's going to open up some eyes, I hope, and get somebody to think about, what are some of the opportunities that I'm not seeing. And there's a lot of stuff going on. Every time we have a conversation with a couple of our co-founders in Industry 4.0 Club, then that are at that stage they just got into this whole thing. They're amazed about some of the opportunities that's in manufacturing as well. Well, we got the start here, but I think we need to kind of introduce what's going on. So this is the Industry 4.0 Club. We are here today on LinkedIn Live. And this is our, as I said, fourth installment of the series Day in the Life. And Anne, what's your kind of perspective on the previous ones we had so far?
Yeah, this has been a really great series, as you were talking about, Yen, a little bit already, just kind of working down the career paths of manufacturing and also systems integrators, and kind of seeing like the perspectives and different roles that different individuals have in their journey and their paths to where they are today. And today we are so excited to have Ali G here with us today. And Ali is the Chief Systems Integrator at Process and Controls Engineering. Ali also has a new LinkedIn Live show herself coming up called Automation Ladies with Nikki. And that's really exciting as well. If you guys are just joining us for the first time in the Industry 4.0 Club, my name is Ann Wyatt. And when I'm not running around with these amazing people at Industry 4.0, I am running my own recruiting agency. Yen, I don't know if you want to formally introduce yourself, and then we'll let Ali introduce herself and we'll get started on the conversation.
Sure, absolutely. So again, as Aaron's saying, with the Industry 4.0 Club, we host these various events, and when I'm not hosting these with these great people here, my name is Jan Pingo. I'm a product leader at Ingersoll Rand for Digital Solutions, where we are uh, uh, making our equipment smart and connected. On to you, Ali, if you want to quickly introduce yourself and what you do and where you're from.
Sure. My name is Ali G, which is actually short for Alicia Gilpin. And I started in engineering. Well, I am an engineer, but I switched what the types of engineers that I was. I was doing process engineering because I have a traditional. I have a chemical engineering degree. That's what I got as my college degree, and I worked as a process engineer, which is a normal job for a chemical engineer to take out of school. And I did that for like 4 years, and then I switched to controls. But in that 4 years, I got to actually build or be part of a greenfield build.
Oh.
And that got me like way more exposed, I think, than, you know, I got really lucky that I got to be in that build so early in my career. And I guess one of the things that I pride myself on is speaking, you know, multiple technical languages. But I'll talk about that like as like, I think you have a different question for me for that. But anyway, I started my own company after 10 years of engineering. I did field engineering. I ran a panel shop, a UL 508A panel shop. You know, I was a process engineer. I sized equipment. I worked for capital projects. I was hugely involved in procurement, so I know a lot about like how companies buy stuff, regardless of what it is. And so at the beginning, I was buying like process equipment, valves, pumps, stuff like that. And then I transitioned to buying like everything inside of a control cabinet. And, you know, creating full bills of material for a PLC or a control system that could run anything out there that, you know, is the process or the machinery. So that's what I do.
Okay. I have an interesting starter question. I just heard that on a podcast.
This is what happens.
Yeah. So let's try this one out. So if you could say, when I was a kid, I wanted to be blank. Now I am blank. And those are related blank.
Oh, that's a good question.
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a veterinarian.
Me too.
And now, you know, I am a systems integrator for industrial manufacturing, like automation systems, I guess. And those are related, I think, in like passion for people, even though you're taking care of animals. I don't know, compassion.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. I like it.
I like it.
They're both in STEM.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't leave
Yes.
STEM, like.
You stayed in the same area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
wanted to be a veterinarian too. I don't know why that is with you know, I feel like as women, as little girls, we're like animals, yay.
And I still really like biology, and read about biology, and I'm amazed by I took some like I took some classes where in college that showed me like enzymes, biochemistry. Oh my God, that stuff is amazing.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I think my sister wanted to be a veterinarian too, a long time ago, and then she got like a high school internship for a week, and realized that it's not just petting animals. There's tons of other stuff going on.
You have to put them down.
Oh,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff.
And, you know, and some of them you can't save, and you have to just kind of be there with people as they're losing their best friends. Like, that sucks. And somebody needs to do that, because that's a tough job.
Yeah.
So thank you for wanting to do that. Everyone who does do that, thank you for doing that. But that may not be for you if you don't want to go to work every day and maybe see, you know, that every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was a vet tech in college, actually, and that was really hard. Seeing that. So, but that's a really good question, Yen. How fun.
Yeah, I
Really
like that
good
question.
opener.
Yeah.
I thought maybe we could get into a little bit more of what like a typical day looks like for you as a systems integrator. Could you kind of walk us through that and just tell us a little bit more about some of the challenges that you face and some of the challenges that you help your customers overcome?
Sure. So before COVID, a systems integrator's job was more, you know, in the factory. That's not to say that we didn't have, you know, our offices. Like, I do a lot of work from home, but you know, I think there was a lot more being in the field than there is now. Now we're still absolutely needed. Like, when we start things up, we have to be there. And although we are starting to get into like some of these hybrid situations where we can have part of us remote and some of us there, like we're doing things now to kind of make it so that you can do like a hybrid remote startup. But yeah, I'm either spending time, doing the design work itself, so that it can get built. Either that's designing a control panel for a process or a machine. That includes, doing the drawings for it, creating a bill of material, and then giving that to somebody to go buy all of the parts, and then, help whoever's building that, get their parts and also get their drawings, because they need to draw. I need to draw it's specific enough for a panel builder to build completely off of that. I can't just build drawings that are just like, they'll take care of it in the panel shop, because I need to get it to the panel shop grade. At least that's how, because I already was doing that. I don't feel comfortable just there was a lot of times I would see customers put, and customers can do this to me, but I'm not going to do it because I'm supposed to be the one that like finishes it, but they'll put like as required instead of actually counting how many terminal blocks that you need, that kind of stuff. Or like the Panduit, no point in measuring it. They're just like, buy a couple sticks of that and throw it in there, and that's not a full bomb. So I go into the details of that, but I do programming, but then I also do like troubleshooting, and or remote troubleshooting. I have a lot of access. My customers either give me VPN access through their corporate VPNs, or through like a Tossi box. Like I have one behind me, just a VPN router that's used with temporary remoting into machinery, for example. But I'll do that, and either just usually I'm working with some maintenance person on the other end, and we're just kind of walking through what they see and what I can see in the PLC, and like what's holding up what they are looking for. And it's usually, we can get to it very quickly because they know what isn't happening or is happening, and I can go straight to find that and then see what condition. That usually it's some condition that wasn't flagged, or I've seen alarms that were like the wrong text. That's really strange. And so, yeah, so it was just like a mistake from the original, OEM. So the alarm comes out and it's telling you the wrong thing, so you can't actually fix it. And so I'll go and fix, I can, change the code, too, but there's things that they can do where there's switches on the PLCs to make it so that they are or not remote accessible. So, there's people needed on the ground, not just,
right.
I can't just remote in and solve all the problems and have no one there looking at anything like that. It's not how any of that ever works. But, that's kind of a day in my life where I'll just get like emergency calls, and I'm in the middle of, doing regular programming or panel design or whatever I'm doing, and then I'll get like these like, hey, something's really weird going on here with my PLC. So my day kind of just like is all over the place, and I just I get to people as soon as I can, but it's a very busy life for sure.
So when you're designing panels, how are you able to kind of test your code that you're developing? Because again, you don't have the machine with you. You only have an idea what I/O is going to be, but you don't have a way to get.
I got two ways to do that. So one way, a traditional way when I was a systems integrator, like that wasn't working for OEMs, is simulation. We can do simulation of all of our code. And actually some clients require that you do a full-blown simulation and show them how all of it's going to react. But you pay more for that, but like that is part of something you could have done up front if you want. But I am lucky enough that I can just say, I want the PLC shipped to me. And so I always have like the hardware on my desk. So that is a common issue as like a PLC programmer. If you work for a large systems integrator, you're going to have to figure out how to use those simulators, because more often than not, they're not going to give you the PLC to have on your desk. If if you're the one buying the PLC, I have a lot more control of that. So I can be like, okay, well, I want that shipped here and I'm going to do stuff to it. And then I'll ship it to whoever's, actually putting the panel in when I go, or I'll bring it there myself. Cause I'll have the controller, but, that's kind of the two ways. And if it wasn't shipped to me, I could still, do code and I could test it, but I prefer to have, like, I have an entire 13 slot chassis downstairs with a L72 in it. And I have all the cards, so I can do whatever I want. And I'll have to move all that obviously as safely as possible. And I have an HMI too. I have a panel view. But yeah, so I can hook up that stuff like ahead of time to do the testing. But when I worked for an OEM and I was doing the panel builds, when we would do real full-blown FATs, so we could hook the full machine because we built the machine. And I built the panel like in my little department, and we would bring them together and hook them up with temporary like giant cables that have like 70 conductors in there, and hook up every single piece of IO. Like we had lots of proximity sensors, solenoids, like whatever, hook it all up and go through the entire thing and run people's product. We would have totes. We would have totes of like, because we were doing conveyors and like the person's product was there, and we would do the thing to the things and do full-blown FATs. But sometimes you can't do that. Like in coffee, we couldn't do that because we weren't set up for the smoke. There's a lot of smoke produced when you're doing coffee. So the larger roasters, we didn't have like the gas supply to feed these giant burners. So that stuff has to be done. That's a SAT, a site acceptance test, has to be done at your customer site after everything has been installed. So you have to be really, really ready when that stuff comes in. And I'm very familiar with the kind of suffering through getting everything to that point where we can finally hand the system over, because controls is last. After all the trades have done everything, like we got to start this thing up and then give it to the operators. So we're the very last to hand it over to operations to use it.
Right. So when you're testing it out, do you have like you say simulate? So if you get the PLC and you get the HMI in, but you still got to kind of simulate that the temperature is rising, what happens in your code, or a trigger happened or something like that. Do you then wire that all up to like digital, switches or analog dials or?
No, because so one thing you can do is kind of just like put values in. You can run like for example, in coffee, there's temperature curves that you're supposed to like, and you want to see like if you go too hot, will it shut up? Will it all shut down?
Exactly. Yeah.
Those we would actually do. So there's different ways to do that one. The safest and like truest form of doing that is actually taking, and we would provide that service, taking a full blown like temperature bath and putting taking the thermocouple out. Hopefully the thermocouple is like in there with a union so that you can pull it out without actually unwiring it. That's a normal thing that people don't put like service loops in some of this stuff. And It's like, we got to check it. So pull it out, put it in the bath, and actually bring the thermocouple to 1200 degrees, 1500 degrees, whatever that temperature is, and watch your entire system do everything that it's supposed to do. Because a lot of that stuff is hardwired, like backup, like NFPA, whatever, NF86 is for the burners, like open furnace burners. But yeah, there's you should be checking everything, and as much as you can do on simulators you want to do, but you're going to have to check everything fully when it's fully built too. So I think you want to do both, as long as one isn't absurdly data intensive or something. And then go out there and like simulate and do your safety check, because that's a separate check. Having a thermocouple like brought up to that real temperature, like someone has to go on a scissor lift and go up and like pull that thing out from wherever it is and do that. That's extra. That's not part of commissioning or IO checkout. Like that's called a safety check, or it's got safety in the word, safety in the name of it, and that's a separate like
functional
service.
Safety.
It's a separate service, but you do want to have some of that stuff done. and then signed off on, because you're going to have someone sign off that they checked every single IO point in your whatever you're putting in, whether it's a machine or a process. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Definitely. That's really an important part of it too. And I don't think, I don't think people necessarily realize kind of the ins and outs of commissioning and what that looks like, and,
It's very
start
fun.
to finish. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
the Wild West a little bit.
It's like, well, we're going to find out.
Yeah, because the stuff isn't done and some of it doesn't work. And, everyone's just like, oh, this is super safe. Well, it's not safe until we proved it is. So it's kind of, if you have that like adventurous spirit, like, this is a lot of a people run towards fires type of thing.
Right. Well, Gregory Keys is on board with simulation here. He just left us a comment on LinkedIn. Hey, Greg, thanks for watching us today. But he says simulation. So yes, he agrees with you on that note. So I do want to remind everybody, if you have any questions for Ali, and if you have any other comments, if you'll drop them in the comments thread, we will be going over those and reading those with you guys. So we appreciate it. Awesome. Well, I mean, I think that's really, and you know what the best part about that though, Ali, is that it's never the same thing. It's never like, it's always changing, and it's always allowing you to get some of that innovation and creativity out there that you wouldn't normally get to do if you were in another type of position in manufacturing, or even in other occupations as well. It's not the same repetitive thing, and it's a lot of fun to try to figure that
and
stuff
it's a
out.
huge people thing too, because you cannot do commissioning by yourself. There's no such thing. So it's like, if it's like a camaraderie thing too, like getting this stuff done, and you're being pressured the whole time to do it as fast as you can.
Right.
Because they want this process running. They're not making money while you're sitting there testing it.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
They spend all the time waiting for everyone else to finish. So they're ready for you to get going.
And their thing is, especially if you're doing a greenfield, it's like, okay, we're right. We projected production to be up and doing, running by now. Because at the same time, so on my end of working in greenfield, because that's, you're working kind of on the build and all of that. So on my end of working in greenfield, it's like at the same time that you're building the facility, you're hiring for that facility. So then you're adding people to your staff, you're putting them on, you're doing all of that. You're putting your teams together. And so that first initial test for us is literally like getting everybody on the floor, seeing how they operate together, and seeing what the final team result looks like. So that's
very cool.
It's all one big it's a
huge team effort. With you, with systems integrators and the operators and everybody else getting us parts.
Yeah. Well, John,
we fry parts halfway through it, like, oh crap, sorry, we need like 24 new solenoids because we put the wrong voltage on all of them.
Yeah, that's when you find out all the issues, and you got to fix them very quickly.
Yeah. So shout out to like the purchasing people who like, go the extra mile. Like they're home, but they're like doing the extra work to get like their people home, because those people can't come home until everything's done, and they need you to send those parts or get a hold of parts. And like right now, parts are impossible. So if you can get people parts, like, you're amazing. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to direct over to another question from the LinkedIn comments, because it's very similar to a question that I was going to ask as well. So John Maldonado, you and I are definitely in sync here, because he is also wondering, how did you get started as an independent SI?
Independent. So you have to quit your job as an employee, step one. But I guess to tell you, like, if like how do I like how do I tell someone whether I recommend them to do it or not, type of thing, is kind of just like, how do you do your work-life balance? Because if you do want a life, like, you're not probably going to do that well as a business owner. That's not like, there's a lot of business owners out there that have kids and they have lives, but they really living on the edge there of like balancing that stuff. So like, I don't have kids, and I love travel, and like, I'm not married even, so like, I can go anywhere, and like, that's not that normal. So if you but if you're willing to just like go out and do your thing, and you don't have a whole bunch of, I don't know, like kids, I feel like if I had kids, I would be scared of missing moments. And so like, and I think everyone like battles that. So that kind of stuff like I would have a different say than I have right now. So I guess keep that in mind when I say like, this is how you start a business, or how you start like, keep in mind that, I don't have, someone calling me mommy. So yet, and like, I do want that, but, how do you start, do that? You'll find out that like your first customers will actually be people you worked with before, people that's one of the biggest things I get asked is like, okay, well, like, thank you, you showed me how to get insurance and how to get this and that, and like, but how do you get customers, and how do you sell? Because you are going to need to do that. And if that's a giant intimidating thing, then you either need to find someone who's going to be like your sales partner. I've seen that. I've seen where like the engineer, met up with like a partner, and that guy's just like better at sales, and together they did their thing, because that was like, you have to figure out your strategy. Like, what are your strengths? Because maybe you don't want to be fully independent. You could go, if you don't want to be king of the castle, you could get, partners, and you guys could be kings of the castle, or queens of the, whatever. Like, so, I was kind of talking about that with Courtney Fernandez and Nikki and Toby Strach, that like, there's a lot of us out here that are independent SIs, and like, we have so much work. We need to figure out how to like network it back to each other, because we have so much right now. Like, there's a labor gap, and there's a massive shortage of like systems integrators for sure, because we don't stop getting, asked to do more and more and more and more stuff. And now, robotics blew up. So now we're all doing robotics too, on top of all of our, regular machineries that we were, supporting, and all of the process stuff we were supporting. And now we got to support robots. So how do you get into it is you save up some money, and you make a business plan. Like, go to sba.org. Literally, and like create your, like, they have a whole website on how do you like bottom line, like create a business plan. And maybe you're not going to sell to the government, but it doesn't matter, because they have like the general outline of how do you create a business plan, small business plan for a small business. And insurance will be a big one. And now, because cybersecurity is a huge thing, cybersecurity insurance will be a big one, because even though you aren't necessarily getting insured to like turn wrenches, because systems integrators are consultants. They're not supposed to be installing anything. Technically, I don't know if you guys know this, but like a systems integrator, they can have like licensed electricians come in and do things, or like, various contractors come in and do stuff, but their work that they're supposed to be doing is not, hey, I'm going to come install your new VFD. Like, no. We can't do that. Like, we can program the VFD. We can do SCADA programming all day long in your servers and all this stuff. But we have to have special insurances for, cyber problems. Or your people like went and downloaded the wrong PLC code to a controller, and now the controller doesn't work. And your company's losing a whole bunch of money because someone did that. Like, you have to have insurance for that. That's how you do it. That was a really long answer for how to become an SI, but an independent SI.
No, but it's definitely interesting to understand the different journeys into that space for sure. And we had another question here, and it's almost like directing the witness here. But one of the questions was, what's the major challenge that you see facing manufacturers when it comes to implementing Industry 4.0 or industry application? And he kind of talked about cybersecurity, and that would probably be one of them at least. So if you can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, the two are cybersecurity and then training in both cybersecurity and everything else related to, how Industry 4.0 is changing our sensors, and that's, affecting the training needed for our normal maintenance people. Like those people have years and years of experience with not IO link or not, a lot of these newer like Ethernet IP flow meters. That's not something they've been looking at for the whole time. So the training, there's a training piece that we're just like, okay, shove as many smart sensors into the factory. Did you train everybody?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So, and then the cyber part, because we put in, there's, legacy systems that up until like, I don't know, recently weren't a giant interest to all the hackers in the world. Since now, all ICS is everybody's favorite thing to hack now, and everybody's super interested in it. The Black Hat Conference of 2021 was all about like showing each other how to hack ICS. How do you get into PLCs? How do you render PLCs useless? What is a PID loop? And how do you mess it up?
Wow.
So we're in trouble.
We can do that on our own without
on a
hackers
huge scale. Well, and like all these systems weren't designed, right? Like we weren't taught as controls engineers, or like I wasn't. Not that I was even traditionally taught to be one, but because I just kind of like forced my way into this industry from process engineering, which is just someone who's allowed to like size a pipe. Like I could say how big the pipe was. Like that, I had no business touching control stuff, but I found that like I would buy all this stuff, put it in, have it put in. Sorry, I was obviously not like mechanically like link all this stuff together, but I would have all this stuff put in, and then I could not do anything I needed unless the controls person was there to like create a screen for me so that I could toggle whatever I did, whatever I wanted a valve, for example. That was my biggest like thing, was I bought a brand new valve and I'm trying to do like pressure tests, and hopefully the controls guy is there that day and he does not care at all about the process, and I'm just sitting here like, these people are in my way. And so I became those people. That's part of my journey, was getting rid of like that barrier of me controlling all the stuff that I was buying, and I couldn't, and that was really annoying. One time a maintenance guy opened the panel, and I was like, what are those green ones for? I was talking about green terminal blocks, grounding blocks, and he just rolled his eyes and shut the door. And that's what happens when you like, shut the door on people, is they go and become me. So
well, now you know that so you do know that that's a really popular job title now, because I think companies were having kind of that same issue. So that is a formal role, is a process controls engineer, and that person would have to be a process engineer with the controls aspect to it. And that's very popular in industries like pulp paper, in metals. You see that a lot.
Many process industries. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. So you're not, for what it's worth, I know several other individuals, and a couple of them are female too, that are process controls engineers.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I fell into machinery on accident because I wanted the opportunity to run a UL shop. So then I learned how different their programming is. Machine programming and process controls are not the same programming at all. Even though they're using the same controller, they could use the same controllers or the same, Studio 5000. You can use Studio 5000 to do either. For example, that's a Rockwell software, but the style that it's done in is not the same, not typically. So it was neat to see that.
So when we talk a little bit about cyber, what has been any of your experience into cyber? Have you just basically, you now know you got to be more careful and more protective when you develop the code, and think a little bit more broader about how you do it? Or do you have had any actual experience with some of your installations might have been compromised, and there were some reports or whatever that you had to go back and change something to make sure it was more secure?
So I've been lucky that I have not actually heard of my system specifically being compromised. probably because they're, you know, less big deal systems out there, not like, you know, power grids,
Right.
or, you know, just big. Although food is pretty big, and I've definitely been out there and done food, and you can take food plants down, and that's awful. But one way that I've, you know, kind of got involved, at least, was to start learning about like some of these devices, like a device that I found called OT Fuse by Bayshore Networks, where it was something that like I could program. I was like, what? Like, and so I got really interested in it because it wasn't like, you know, I don't need, you know, a CCNA from Cisco certification so that I can do anything with like cyber stuff or firewalls. It's like there are devices that I could put in my cabinet that I can like control, really. And like IT can't even see it because it doesn't have an IP address. It's actually a really neat device. Yeah. But if it's there, it's kind of like a managed switch, but it's a security device. It's a, it has a name because it can actually, it's not just for remoting in. It can actually stop things from happening that should not be happening. And there's like a teaching period for it. It's really neat. But there's other products out there that are like that. And like, obviously, like I am biased in that, like I was looking for something that I could control. Like what you really need to do is have a really secure IT team. You need to, when you hire your like IT people and you are like, okay, we are super cybersecurity, you know, aware, that you need to have people that are ICS trained, so that you don't just have a giant team of people who have no idea like what's actually on the, like how do the PLCs work? How do the VFDs work? What are the VFDs do? Like, what are the VFDs really controlling? Like a VFD is a variable frequency drive. So that controls like pumps, blowers, like real motors out there in the world. Like, do you understand all of that? Like operational technology, all the OT, because that's a special sector of like cyber, you know, there's industrial cybersecurity now, because those people know how our devices are communicating. Like they need to know way more too, like just data. Obviously they can do all this like magical data stuff, but they need to do all that magic with like the data on our end, and on the data on our end actually can tell, like the packet injection on our end can turn drives on, can turn on, like, you know, before we were doing like malicious things with like data breaching and like, or you know, or withholding information or not letting people use things, but now we can do physical damage to physical systems. We can make fires, chemical reactions that shouldn't happen. Like, obviously, like, yes, there should be massive safety systems in place, but there's old systems. So you just need like your team to be versed in both.
And now when you say old systems, you're also now getting new systems, meaning you get smart sensors that might even have a web page.
Yes.
You can access that, you know.
Yes. Everything has a web page, and everyone loves that until they're like, ooh, oh no. Everything has a web page. They're like, oh yeah, and you can access it on the web page. Is that actually good? Exactly. It sounds really cool until the hackers showed up. Like,
yeah.
That makes me think about like, so many things.
We were having fun connecting everything, and then all of a sudden they're like, haha, thanks for doing that.
Yeah, it works well if it's just in the actual plant, right? Then you can get to a web page, you can easily do some changes, but you need to really make sure that everything is then secured much more than it's different when you get in and, you know, pull some files, which it can be bad enough, right? But now you can actually, as you say, you can start something, you can turn the heat up, you can start a fire, you can
or
run
just turn the PLC off, like overload it. That's one of the things they're doing is like, okay, how do you make the memory just like explode? Just overload it. And now it can't do the whole process that it's doing. So like now you're losing money and like everyone's super confused and yeah.
So you mentioned before like that you're also now getting into like robotics. And I can imagine from a cybersecurity perspective, they can do some real damage to people.
You can remote jog your robots now. And they got cameras all over it, on the robot, on the robot tool, like, so you can kind of just see whatever, you literally play a video game and destroy things. Like,
Yeah,
it's scary.
right.
It's scary. And so I think we're going towards dealing with that. We knew that was coming. We've connected everything. So there will be instances of robots getting taken over. And robots can hurt themselves. Robots can hurt themselves, like, and or
operators, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's a scary time we're in, and this whole thing in Ukraine doesn't help at all. That we know that if somebody is pushed too hard, they'll find other means to retaliate, and that's one of the means.
Yeah.
Oh. I did want to give our girl Nikki a shout out. She is blowing up our comments here. So I did want to, read a few of these. She says, hey, Nikki. And I can get parts. So she can get parts.
Nikki can get parts. Nikki is a parts wizard. And she can get you parts that, like, you don't want to get those parts. Like, those parts that aren't made anymore. There's a lot of Allen Bradley parts that aren't made anymore that everyone still uses because the controllers are running. So you don't have the money yet, you don't have the capital yet to, like, upgrade it to the next version. So you're going to let it die. But until then, you're just torturing your maintenance people by making them buy this stuff that's been obsolete forever. And if you need help with that, like, Nikki can help you. Quote Beam can help you, and Nikki can help you with that.
Awesome. And then she did say, for sure, it is different with kids now. When we were talking about, or when you were talking about, entrepreneurship with kids, it is. And then I also wanted to read a comment from Peter Burson. We're getting so many comments today. Thank you, guys. He says the main problem is a lot of these systems were never meant to be connected to the internet. Now we are connecting them to the cloud.
That is massive.
Some of these systems are running old OSS big problems, old SES.
Yes. A lot of them are. Huge. And there's systems that are out there in infrastructure that don't make money. Think about those. Those don't need the newest anything. They've been running, and they've just been keeping them running. And now they need all those connected too, or they've been connecting them slowly, and that's massive problem.
Definitely.
And what are we going to do about it is we're all going to get smart. That's all we can do, is train people and push everybody we possibly can into these jobs, because we desperately need everyone to come join these jobs. Please, if you have any interest whatsoever, please join manufacturing. Please join American manufacturing, please.
And it's fun, and we're fun.
However you want it.
Absolutely.
You should come. Yeah.
We need you so bad.
So to that point, though, one of the questions we have on the list here is, if you could give your 18-year-old self some advice, what would that be? Apart from, you got to get into manufacturing. How would you direct your 18-year-old?
I would say don't doubt yourself so much, and don't believe what everyone tells you. Earlier in my career, like, I don't like being negative, but I also like being real. Earlier in my career, my best example is, like, I was a process engineer, right? So I could buy things like thermocouples, right? And I did. And I bought thermocouples and, like, thermocouple extension wire. And an electrician told me, and because, like, the extension wire is not here yet. And he's, like, trying to go pull wire, right? So he can run it to the thermocouples that are there, because I got the thermocouples and those were installed. And by the way, a thermocouple, you have to use thermocouple extension wire, period. Like, but I didn't know this. So, and I'm a process engineer, and he's an electrician. So I was just like, well, and he looks at me and he's like, this is just thermostat wire. So he ran thermostat wire instead of, because I said, yeah, okay, you're an electrician, I don't know. And so that's kind of my, like, you know, don't believe everything everybody says. There was a reason I was doing that. And then I just decided that, like, because he is an electrician and that is a wire, that I should listen to other people. And, you know, and that kind of goes with, like, don't doubt yourself so much. Because maybe there's people out there that say things confidently and they actually have no idea. So be careful of those kinds of people because they're everywhere.
See, that's wild to me. Like, if I don't know something, I'm just straight up like, I don't know.
Yeah, but lots of people don't do that and they hide it.
Yeah,
they will just hide what they don't know. And it actually doesn't help anybody. It actually hurts everybody.
But then I don't know. I don't know. But see, if I don't know, then I always make it a point to find out.
Yeah. Well, no, that's a curious mind. And that's like the best way to be. I'm not afraid. And all my mentors will tell you, like, she's not afraid of just being like, I have no idea. But I never stop there. And I do go find out why. I'm like, oh, crap, I have no idea. And so I have had so many no idea events in my life that I actually know a lot of stuff now because I had no idea. So don't be afraid to not know things. And manufacturing, you're never going to know everything. They change it every 5 minutes. There's no way. Like, oh, you want to be an expert in manufacturing? That's
true. I
don't even call myself that because that's absurd. Nobody can be. Good luck.
It's like we're either rewriting the ISO or we're retooling the line.
Or we came up
like every 5 years.
We came up with like when they came out with Heart, and it's like I can send the signal and get the signal back, like my feedback off the same wires. Yay! Like just simple dumb things. Like I'm like, how's that different from like communications? It's not, but it's it's like halfway. Yeah.
That's funny.
There's tons of new things constantly, new products. And that's why you should talk to your salespeople. Like your salespeople are your friends. I know some of them can like get like too close. I know engineers tend to have like they're less social. Some of them are very social, but like they're less social. They're less like want the sales engineers to call them every day or like show up. That's a normal thing for like, vendors to do some back before COVID is like, they just kind of show up and you're like, and some of these engineers are not like, they don't want to be rude. So they're just sitting there like, how do I get rid of this salesperson? But I can't tell them to leave.
You buy something, right?
Yeah. Buy some. Well, no, what you do from them is learn from them. What is the newest stuff? Like everything. Don't be afraid to negotiate with them on their pricing. That is like the sales engineer's worst nightmare for me to tell them that. Sorry, Nikki, but you can negotiate, when you're buying things, especially if you're buying a lot of something.
Oh, absolutely.
So I know engineers are not notorious negotiators, but you can see where that goes.
Well, I think don't doubt yourself is great advice for
Absolutely.
For any 18-year-old, especially girls. So I love that.
So what's your favorite part of doing what you do right now?
When people turn around and like mention that that they're doing something different now because of my help. So I guess it's very rewarding. Like, yeah, I get paid. That's nice. But like there's, sometimes I make an actual difference in like a process, for example. I like that. Like I was talking to a salesperson from DIY Robotics, and I wanted to like, bring the comment to like LinkedIn, and I did. And I kind of just said, like, if you've never jogged a robot in your life, like you should insist to anyone around you who could let you to just let you do it once. And I don't care if you're in HR or whatever, like if that's something that your company does and like you could do that, like I think you should insist that someone let you jog the robot until they do, because it'll change your life. and the president like made it a point to like show her how to jog that robot, and then made it a new rule for the company that everybody, including HR, has to jog the robots. So
Good.
that's the kind of stuff that I like. You know, it's
That's
like,
cool.
well, that will help. And you know, anytime I do get really nice comments, especially from women. And that's huge for me. They're just like, thank you for existing. Usually that's the general comment. It's just like, thank you for, you know, just being out there and doing that. Because it makes us look good as a group.
Definitely.
That's cool.
Yeah.
No,
Definitely. I concur. And I would also like to thank you. I love that you're on LinkedIn and you're doing the things that you're doing, and you're starting the show with Nikki, Automation Ladies. I love this. I think it's really important to give, you know, not only girls some options, you know, like of what, you know, what career paths they can go with in manufacturing, but it's just also really important just at large to see the process and to see kind of what all goes into this specific skill set, because it is different. I know we had a big conversation yesterday about how different industries, you know, it's not the same. It is not the same. So like industries are all very different, and what machinery they use is different, and what PLCs they use are different. And just kind of giving that behind the scenes look and giving other people in the manufacturing community that may not be as hands-on, like those HR managers and like those business operations folks, that real life view of this is what this looks like. These are the issues that, you know, we have, and some of the challenges that we have to overcome.
High school counselors, hopefully too.
Yes, right.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we can get them to just show the kids these jobs, because we need the kids.
give us your
please
children.
Send the kids to the manufacturing jobs, please. Engineering, panel building, I don't care. Any of it. Welding, I don't care. We need
whatever they want to do, right?
Yeah. And I think that's the part we're missing, right? Is that when you say send the kids to manufacturing, just get kids out to see a manufacturing plant and walk through it and
show them some robots. And my thing is I show blinking lights, like that's what this stuff is.
Yeah.
Like it's just to try to get like, what's that? Like if we can have a conversation about like, what is that thing behind you? Then I can show some passion and maybe suck some people in. And that's kind of the mission.
Yeah.
Is to get people in this, because it's I think the best job ever. Obviously I'm biased.
Mine will not, he's 5. So he's very much on that repetitive train anyway. Like, and I mean, but his memory is crazy good. Like, I mean, it's, you know, it'll be like months and he'll be like, hey, can we watch that one robot video?
Oh,
and I'm like, yeah, sure. Let me just go find it, you know, try to figure out where it is. But yeah, I mean, that gets him hyped every single time.
The robot videos out there right now are unbelievable. Just the best. Like, and everyone's using drones and just the best footage out there.
Yes.
Woo! It's gonna get the kids in. We're gonna get the kids. We're gonna get all the kids.
You need to get your kids in front of your LinkedIn feed, and then start looking at some of those pages that are shared right now, because there's some ton of good stuff there. So we have one of our co-founders, Jake Hall. He shares some of those how it's made kind of videos, and there's a lot of others out there similar. So you can get like, you know, a guy flying on a jetpack, whatever. But Jake is really going into the manufacturing and see how it's different things manufactured, and how even to the point where how some of the metal bent and how does that machine work. And so you can see, you know, I see these results all the time, but I have no idea how it's made.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing it then I would want to mention also, when we're talking about manufacturing, some of the cool things. One of our not co-founders but friends of the club, he's now working for Tesla in Germany. He showed a video where they had taken a drone just flying through the actual new Gigafactory while it was running, flying under the machines right before they close, right? In. And it was interesting to see that whole
Everyone loves
factory
them.
where there was almost no people. It was
I
100%
missed that
automated.
one. I'll have to watch that one.
Yeah, go find Joachim Hensch. No, not Joachim Hensch.
No, Pat.
Patrick. Yeah, Pat.
Yeah.
Pat was the one that shared it. Go find that. It's a very interesting video. And I mean, I've seen these videos where you get this drone going through a bowling alley, between people. It was almost like that, but it was no people. It was just factory machines that was actually working. They were bending metal, pressing metal, and that drone just walked through the whole thing. It was pretty cool.
I want to note, because like you made a comment that like it looked like there was almost no people in there, that like there was a massive, and you know this too, but like there was a massive team of people who got those robots there.
Oh yeah.
And those people are not out of jobs just because those robots are there. They are now working on new robotic systems, or maintaining those robotic systems, or upgrading those systems, or just buying more robot parts. There's 1,001 jobs related to putting more robots into all of our manufacturing.
Yeah.
I mean, installs are huge projects, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because you have your
oh my god,
you have like your integrators, right? And then you have your construction crew that actually
you need millwrights. You need straight up people.
Anchors them into the ground. Yep. Like that's a whole
even
thing.
Even that factory, there's lots of people working there, but they're not doing those very dangerous jobs, being underneath the metal press. They're not supposed to lift those things and move it to the next step in the process, right? But they're doing other stuff.
Yep.
And so it's really that part of the automation that's interesting, that we're taking away those dangerous parts and the risks, and giving the opportunity for those people to do something that might even be more variation, more interesting than just standing in front of the same machine doing the same things every day, right?
I think like if I were, 18 right now, how quickly you can get trained to use robots, and then go out and play with the real ones.
Yeah.
I would go for that right now, because it's available, it's in demand, it's fascinating, and like there's a manual, like there's someone's gonna show you like how to use this thing. Like it's not just like, oh, figure it out. Like that's not how this works. Like they want you to succeed, because they need they need this stuff working. So if you want to go out there and like take on the challenge of like learning how to operate robots, or rewrite their programs, or maintain them, or rebuild parts on them, anything related to like maintaining robots or putting robots in, is a really, really neat job right now.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm probably a little bit biased as well, but Lego, which is, I'm from Denmark, it's originally from Denmark. They now have systems where you can actually start building some of these things, not necessarily with the same type of code that you would do in real world, but still with code, with actuators, and you could do this, some of the same stuff even from a very early age.
Yeah, is just motion instructions. Like, do you understand how the robot moves and what its reference point is? Because it has to move relative to something. And so once you start like realizing like how does the robot think, because robots are not that smart. Like we act like they're not alive yet. Right. They're just as like they will go crash into stuff and just like sit there and like be useless.
Keep spinning.
So they're not that smart. But they, it's not like Spot, like the one robot that can just like walk around. Like that's not industrial robots. You can't push them over. Right. Like that's not how those work. So there's a lot of just like really cool jobs. And you get to mess with all those robots and watch them all day and hear the noises they make. Robots are so cool.
Yep, they definitely are. So we're getting at the end of our 1 hour here, but we don't want to finish it without having a little bit of a different spin on some questions here. Just getting some know a little bit more about you, I would say.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily, I don't know if you read books, I don't know if you watch movies, but what have influenced you, like books or movies, or maybe even personalities, people that have influenced what you're doing and what you're thinking about today?
I've had mentors throughout my life. I have, George Bias is a huge mentor of mine. He was my process engineering mentor before I became controls. And, you know, like his kind of outlook was always, and I'm lucky that I met him so early in my career. His outlook was, you know, because he's a process engineer and like a good one. But he was always telling me, like, are you talking to the operator? Are you trying to make the operator's life better? Like, do you even care about the operator? Just kind of questions like that. And so I've always been super in tune with like, who am I affecting with the stuff that I'm doing? You know, I once pissed off maintenance because I bought a pump and there was no power because I think I bought a 230 pump, 233 phase pump. And they're like, so where are we going to power that from? Why didn't you ask us what kind of power we even have to give you? And I learned, you know, from that kind of stuff. So like my mentors, all the haters like have really helped too. The doubters, people that influenced me. Just, I don't know. My mom is my biggest influencer because
Your mom is so sweet.
Yeah, my mom taught me about people, I think. And so I understand, I'm more in tune with like what people probably think, and I get it wrong all the time, and you know, I have arguments, but like I guess I do better at reading people because of my mom. And you know, in manufacturing, you can be an amazing programmer or an amazing engineer, and you can just be a really difficult person to work with, and like it's not a good situation. So it is a people business, period. If you want to just do your own thing, like you can, and you know, people will come to you because you know, can produce certain things, but you won't thrive. Your business won't thrive unless, you know, you get people with you, and people don't want to be with you unless you're helping them somehow, whether you're training them or teaching them or mentoring them or working for them or getting them solutions. So
yeah, you kind of alluded to that before when you're saying, you know, one of the best things was when some of the operators were appreciating the difference you have made, and that's really what it's all about, right? If you can make somebody's life easier, you can
and that's how you get like return sales too. They're like, this person helped me, stood there with me in the rain. If you stand there, you know, in the really bad moments, and you just show up and you don't leave, you know, and it comes 5 p.m. right on Friday, you don't leave. Like they can't leave, so stand with them. Stand with your customer and see how far that takes you. And I tell you, it's pretty far. It's very far.
That's
absolutely
good advice. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that gave me all the feels. That gave me all the feels.
I get people who call me and they're like, remember that time where it was like 7 p.m. your time and you're still on the phone with me? Like, I wasn't getting overtime, you know, just like that kind of stuff. And they knew it. And they'll do stuff like send me like a free mug or something, you know, just like, thank you for, you know, we know that you're not actually getting anything for this.
Right.
Yeah. But that stuff gets remembered. And sometimes not, but who cares?
Right.
Because I do like heavily believe that like what you put into the universe comes back to you. And if you put out a whole bunch of crap, like you're going to get a bunch of crap.
Absolutely.
And
Karma.
if you put out, I don't know, something worth anything, like it comes back.
I agree. It's all about that good energy. It's all about building each other up. It's all about, you know, supporting each other. And I love seeing this because I don't think, you know, I don't think that was necessarily always the case. So it's really great to see like this new move towards building each other up and helping each other and supporting each other and really driving and creating value.
I've seen each other even in like society. Like I've seen the young like women in music. I've seen them collaborating way more than I ever saw them collaborating. So we're figuring stuff out, I think, as a society.
It's raising the whole vibe, man. Like I love it.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. This like competition is starting to form into more collaboration than than this competitive thing that we use. I mean, we are still very competitive, but like you can compete with groups and have like your camaraderie in your group, and you're still even building up like the whole society, because you know, you're building up people in your groups, and like, I don't know, going out there and trying to just like make a positive difference, not just be the richest and destroy everybody else. That's not, nobody's like trying to watch. No one's trying to click on that.
Yeah.
That's
right?
not a good sell. It's not a good sell. It's just like destroying everybody else's business. Like, no, let's see how we can all work together. And like James, by the way, James Dean is another person that I like highly follow. And he's all about collaboration, from anybody. His thing is like, I'll treat you the same way you treated me. Like, so let's see how you decide to treat me.
Right. Well, hey, Al, this has been great. We really love to get some information about how a person kind of where they are today, how they got there, and some of the experiences, and yours have definitely not. Yours has been what we expected. A good story, great success, and we really enjoyed talking to you here today. And all the best, and especially in your new podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Automation podcast.
Yes.
And you're going to do
find
it
your
on the
podcast?
live, right?
Yes.
Where can people find
some
your
of
podcast?
the episodes will be on live. Some of them are pre-recorded. It's we kind of mixing it up.
Okay. So where can people find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn. They can find me on my website. It's actually pce.llc.
Okay.
I try to make it super short, or use acronyms, although other people have that acronym, so don't go there.
Okay.
But actually on mine, you'll see my face, so you'll know if you're at the right PCE or not.
Got it.
Awesome. And I love that shirt, by the way. I wore mine on
this
Monday.
is from Mavens of Manufacturing. Shout out to
Yes.
Morgan Ziemba. This is like huge thing, like close to my heart, just because I'm in manufacturing and I'm a girl. And I would love to see a lot more girls. And I think that we can show them, you know, my thing is I want to get PLCs in like girls' hands. Like, let's do it.
You got to make a
Absolutely.
little kit you can sell, you know, like a little mini kit for
Well,
young
selling is
teenagers.
one thing, and then like just getting, you know, however many free ones out there we can, will be another part of that. But definitely we'll want to sell stuff too.
And if Mattel, if you're listening, what we really want is actually a Barbie that does the industrial automation.
Yeah, can we have SCADA engineer Barbie? We're down.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mattel. SCADA engineer Barbie.
Okay.
Give us one of those.
Talk to Maria Moreno.
She's next on our show, so we're gonna be
awesome.
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah.
But no, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. I know we're like way over time here, so
sorry.
Whoops. But yeah, Yen, do you want to close this out?
Yeah, sure. But if you can just again, so Maria's going to come on in 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
So look out for another LinkedIn Live in 2 weeks, same time, same place.
That one's going to be dope.
Yep, that's going to be good. Yeah, again, thank you very much for joining, and thank everyone on LinkedIn Live that joined us today, and thank for all the comments and questions. It's good to get some interaction while we're live here. It's been great today. Again, this was Industry 4.0 Club on our LinkedIn Live session here on Thursday, People, Process, and Culture. Thanks everyone for joining. And again, just remember to join us again in 2 weeks where we continue this episode. And of course, feel free to go on www.industry40club.com and look at our schedule. We have both these LinkedIn Live sessions and we have Clubhouse rooms depending on the topic and the guest. And we have a Monday through Thursday around noon Eastern, typically 12:30 as this one was. And so go check that out and join us and have some fun with us and learn more about Industry 4.0.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Have a good week.
Everyone. Have a good week.
Bye.